Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're here with our Total Wellness Tuesday episode, and today is going to be focused on the COVID virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And what I want to share with you, because I know it's been a little bit since we went over some updates, is one of the big breakthroughs we are seeing in actually antibody testing and our long-term immunity. So what I want to share with you is just a few statistics to get started, but actually what the long-term prognosis is for any type of antibody-based treatment, or if you've already gotten the COVID-19 virus previous to this. So by the end of the show, I definitely hope that at least that you'll feel like you're in a much stronger position in order to be able to be less fearful when it comes to all the different media messages that we're getting, but also in the future, our ability to get back out there without all of the fear. So this is actually coming from the Journal of Nature. This is where it was published. And it's been written up actually in quite a few places and provided by what's called the Rockefeller University. But I'm going to give you the exact stats in just 1 second on this. But just know right now, it's reported that there's about 30 million cases. There's been about 30 million cases in just the United States alone. Now, here's the thing though. Those are 30 million cases that have been tested and confirmed. There are many virologists who obviously this is their expertise, believe that numbers probably somewhere around 90 to 100 million. So why do they think that it's 3 to 4x what the numbers actually say right now? Well, the reason is that many people are asymptomatic. It's somewhere between 40 and 70%. So somewhere between 4 and 7 out of 10 people, when they get this particular virus, they show no symptoms. Or the most symptoms they may show is maybe a headache, maybe a little bit of fatigue, potentially a small cough for a day or two. That then goes for them unnoticed of them getting the virus because they never knew that they got it, because we're always told that the symptoms can be so great. And of course they can in certain individuals. So what happens is those people don't get tested and they don't become part of the number. So here's the big thing. When you have 90 million, 100 million people, that's about a third of the country then already may have had this particular virus. So we're talking about obviously the COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 virus. Goes by different names depending on who you want to be speaking to about it. But we are now very close to then being at herd immunity. Some people say 40%, some people say 60%. Most people have never said that you need to reach 60% of people for herd immunity. So how herd immunity works, and just a simplistic version, is that let's say I've already had the virus and everyone in my family has. We go out and someone had a cough, they had the virus and they did spread it and we got it. Well, that virus then enters our body. It's not like we have a force field around ourselves where the virus isn't able to enter. It is. But then what happens is, since we've already had the virus, it enters us, and our natural antibodies that have been built up when we first got the virus actually see the virus and it begins to destroy it before the replication process. So mild symptoms, if anything, but now we don't even feel like we've had it because we didn't. We actually destroyed that virus before it took hold. So that's how herd immunity works. You need enough people that already have the antibodies in order to be able to not allow this virus to move from one person to another. Because if I never get it, because I've already had it, and my body's able to fight it once it enters my body, I can't pass it on to anyone else because I'm not contagious. So that's obviously how people hope vaccines work. That's how natural immunity to something works. That's how we look at it. So now, though, this is very interesting because there's been a lot of debate, and I had the same debate. Do the antibodies last? That's the big question. So how we've seen it is this, that previous SARS-based viruses, the antibodies that your body builds up to it seem to last. That's a very good thing. Whereas the flu virus, well, you can get that once a year. It does not seem to be the case necessarily with this SARS-CoV-2 virus. And so here's why. What happens is when you do get it, your body actually creates, I would say, a code. It's the best way to think about it. And that code is now internalized inside the body. So when the actual virus would re-enter your body, it is then able to program these white blood cells, because there's still a few left, that have the antibodies that would then begin to multiply themselves and then destroy that particular virus, again, before it ever took hold in your body. So that is how these antibodies work. And so just, again, a little bit of an aside, the new vaccine that they're talking about, and again, I'm not saying that I'm pro or that I'm against, but what I'm saying is the new vaccine that they're talking about is not exactly a vaccine like you might think about a flu vaccination, okay? This is actually more of gene therapy. So I guess it's the best way that people are calling it, is more of a gene therapy. What they're trying to do is program the code then into your body, but not actually injecting you with a particular virus like they might a strain of the flu, right? So what they're hoping to do is that if they program your immune system, right, with a stimulant to stimulate the immune system, then if you were to be infected with the virus, then your immune system would know what to do. So I just want to share with you, because there's a difference. What it seems right now, because again, it did skip animal trials, there's not as much data as obviously we would like. What they're believing that is that younger people are probably going to need about 2 doses in order for it to be able to work, hopefully. And then older people, 65 plus, are actually going to need 3 doses. I want to explain this just for a moment, because again, I always try to share this with you from an unbiased perspective. So please don't think that there's any agenda. There's of course no agenda, with me. So here's the thing. Let's say you're 65 plus. Talking about it with my parents, these types of things. Okay, they get their first one. There's been about 43 million people, I think, that have been vaccinated. But let's say you get it right now in March, okay? So you get your first round in March because they started opening it up to certain people. You can't get your next one until 30 days apart. So you get one in March, you get one in April, and you get one in May. And then you got your third, and now hopefully now it's working. And that's why they're telling you that it probably doesn't work, the first one. And the reason is that they're saying wear masks, do all the same different types of protection, because it's probably not going to allow you any protection. So here's why though, because they're working on that programming, showing what it should be doing. And again, experimental. It did not work the first time. Again, doesn't mean that I'm not saying it's not going to work this time. There's already been a SARS-CoV-1 and it did not work for that one. Doesn't mean this time's not going to be different, but I'm just sharing with you. So why would I share that with you? Well, I want you to understand is that you probably aren't going to build up the antibodies yet. So don't think that because you got that particular vaccination that you are out of the woods. The only one that we know is if you get the actual virus, then you really do create the antibodies, of course. And again, people can always take this out of context. I'm not saying that you should get the virus. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is then that does confer antibodies, because I'm going to share with you the research in just a second. Okay, the next part is this. I am very optimistic. I am very optimistic by this May or June, and you can quote me way back from 6, 7, 8 months ago, that this is when we'll be out of it. I really believe that. And I want to be right. Of course, I'm optimistic. And the reason is I believe we'll be at that 50% or so, 40, 50% herd immunity by that time. Flu season will already have passed. People are going to be exposed to more good weather, more vitamin D, hopefully more fresh air, better spirits, all of those different types of things, which actually does make a difference when you look at the immune system. Stress obviously slows the immune system. Less vitamin D weakens the immune system. So really, really important to look at that. I do believe that regardless, May, June, we are going to reach herd immunity, which means you're going to see a dramatic drop in cases. So we're talking about not as much even of a talking point, because it's going to be dropping so low, maybe sub 1,000, we'll see. So that's how we look at it. Again, for all of us, I'm hopeful. That's why I'm saying that. But again, we shall see. And of course, I will always update you if things change, or again, we don't know. This is just a prediction. The last thing I want to share with you too, and I'd be remiss if I didn't do that, there is something different going on in the United States. And no, it's not a different strain. That's not it. It's the reporting. So I have to be honest with you, and I want you to understand this, is the United States is reporting more than basically twice as many deaths as any other country in the world. The United States is about 330 million people, somewhere around that. Okay, we look at India. Like if we just even take China out of the equation, 1 billion plus people. And we look at all sorts of other different countries. We look at Brazil. Brazil's the second behind us, and they have about half. But they have far greater population. And I wouldn't even say that they have nearly the same amount of medical-based technology and support there. But yet the United States is more than double anyone else. And it is partly because of our reporting. And I just want to share that with you because it's the only honest way to do it, is that I know we have a lot of fear going on right now, right? We absolutely do. And I'm not saying that this virus is not serious. I've never said that. We need to take care of those people that are the most susceptible. No doubt about it. Never changed. Again, like I'm on record, right? I do a podcast every single day. I'm on record. I have a whole virus-based category. But I'll share with you this. Yes, I'm often optimistic, and I try to provide hope for people. But I do that in one way, and I try to push back just a little bit more because the picture that is being painted for you is not completely accurate. They are saying, meaning the media and even the CDC, oh, flu deaths are miraculously down this year. Well, how are flu deaths miraculously down this year? And they say, well, it's because of wearing masks and everything else. And I would say in any other time, I would say, you know what? You're absolutely correct. If you're wearing an N95 mask or a tight-fitting surgical mask, the blue ones, which is 3-ply, then yes, you're getting some protection. But here's the thing. If you're saying that flu is down because of masks, then you have to say then COVID should be down, and it's not. I mean, it's rising at the same time as flu is dropping. That escapes logic. Okay, so we can't necessarily use that. We just have to understand is that these are difficult times. People are scared. But I don't believe you're necessarily getting the correct information, okay? But we can lump it all in as that we need to protect our immune system, right? So there's no doubt about that. I think we can all agree on that, is that whether you decide to get the vaccine, not decide to get the vaccine, but please keep working on your immune system, okay? So that's how I want to leave that. Now, the good news is this. If the vaccine works, then great, you're going to get the antibodies. Again, we shall see. And if you get COVID, then your body's producing the antibodies. And hopefully they last a long time. We shall see. But here's the early news. So I'm going to read it directly to you. This is directly from the materials provided by Rockefeller University. And this is published on PubMed. It's published in the Journal of Nature. And I'm going to read it directly to you, and then I'm going to explain it, just the details of it. So, as the number of people who have fought off SARS-CoV-2 climbs even higher, a critical question has always grown in importance. How will their immunity to the coronavirus last? A new study offers an encouraging answer, suggesting that those who recover from COVID-19 are protected against the virus for at least 6 months and likely much longer. The findings published in Nature provide the strongest evidence yet that the immune system remembers the virus and remarkably continues to improve the quality of antibodies even after the infection has waned. Antibodies provided months after the infection showed increased ability to block SARS-CoV-2 as well as its mutated versions. So that's really important as well. So our antibodies actually help to block current mutated versions. The researchers have found these improved antibodies are produced by immune cells that have kept evolving, apparently due to a continued exposure of the remnants of the virus hidden in the gut tissue. Based on these findings, researchers suspect that when the recovered patient next encountered the virus, the response would be faster and more effective, preventing reinfection. This is in quotes now. This is really exciting news. The type of immune response we see here could potentially provide protection for quite some time by enabling the body to mount a rapid and effective response to the virus upon re-exposure. Let's see here. That was the head of the Laboratory of Molecular Immunology, Dr. Newson Weiswig. And let's see, long-lasting memory. Antibodies, which the body creates in response to infection, linger in the blood plasma for several weeks or months, but their levels significantly drop with time. Remember that. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. The immune system has a more efficient way of dealing with pathogens. Instead of producing antibodies all the time, it creates memory B cells that recognize the pathogen and can quickly unleash a new round of antibodies when they encounter it a second time. But how well will this memory work depends on the pathogen. To understand the case with SARS-CoV-2, Newson Wig with His colleagues studied the antibody response of 87 individuals at 2 time points, 1 month after the infection and then again 6 months later. As expected, they found that although antibodies were still detectable by the 6-month point, their numbers had markedly decreased. Lab experiments showed that the ability of the participants' plasma samples to neutralize the virus was reduced by 5-fold. In contrast, the patient's memory cells, specifically those that produced antibodies against SARS-CoV-2, did not decline in number and even slightly increased in some cases. The overall number of B cells that produced antibodies attacking the Achilles heel of the virus, known as the receptor binding domain, stayed the same. And the good news. This is good news because those are the ones you need if you encounter the virus again. All right, so I'm going to keep it at that. There's obviously lots more. And of course, if you go to stevencabral.com/1845, I will link up the PubMed, the Nature journal, and everything else that you need to do more research if you would like. So that's the good news. Now, I want to share with you something because I'm doing this behind the scenes. I was given the ability to do antibody testing on both the nucleus and the spike of this COVID-19 virus many months ago, probably like 6 months ago. We were about to roll it out. We decided to hold back. And that's because during my initial phases of this, using this lab behind the scenes, which of course we always do, we realized that it was working for the people that were under about 3 to 4 months of previously infected, but not people that were necessarily 6 months or more infected. Now, here's the interesting thing. Because of this research as well and my own hunch, and now again, I can't tell you that this is fact, I believe that we still have that protection. But what happens is over time, our body's antibodies just diminish in number because we haven't seen the virus for a while. But if we were to be reinfected, then those antibodies would be able to multiply very quickly. And I do believe that at this moment in time, it's not that our bodies aren't working, it's that the lab testing is not sufficient enough, it's not high-tech enough in order to be able to detect that smaller amount. That is my opinion. We shall see. Again, we'll see how it's played out, but it does look from these much better, smaller studies that that's going to be the case. So that's a great thing, in my opinion, is that hopefully this is just like previous SARS-based viruses, where once you're infected, you're not going to get it to that same level at all again. And the interesting part to this is that it seems that the actual viral remnant in the body's ability to replicate those immune cells is actually happening in the gut, because there are so many people out there saying it's this strain of bacteria that's causing the inflammation and causing the reactions to the virus. Well, that may or may not be true. I mean, the gut is made up of, we're talking about trillions of bacteria. So to pin it down to one strain, I think is probably short-sighted, but it's what happens to the immune system with an imbalanced gut that's an even bigger discussion. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that tomorrow. So hopefully you tune into tomorrow's show on the gut adipose axis. So basically, the gut and inflammation and body fat and how all of that works with the immune system as well. So that will be a nice show to go through. But what I can share with you is this. There's no doubt about it, is that your body is working behind the scenes when you get this virus and you recover to be able to get strong again. Now, if you are someone that is suffering from post-viral inflammatory syndrome or having a difficult time recovering, I would love you to check out this particular episode that I did not too long ago, and I'm going to share it with you right now. It is at, it's stevencabral.com/1776. Feel free to share that with friends, with family. That's how to deal with post-viral inflammatory issues. Now, if you are someone that has not gotten the virus yet, or you just want to keep your immune system boosted, which I highly recommend, please do check out stevencabral.com/1810. We will link all of those up today with the research. So actually the easiest thing to do is simply go to stevencabral.com/1845. All the links will be right there. So I want to share this and leave this with you today, is that our body knows. It knows exactly what to do, how to beat a virus, how to stay well. It doesn't mean that you won't get sick, but how to get well again and then be able to create those antibodies for the future. Now, I know, again, that there are many people that are susceptible, and that is why I will continue to say we need to look out for those people. Those are the people that now, if you see on episode 1810, we have natural-based protocols to boost the immune system. Not saying you're not going to get the virus, but hopefully, again, the body then prevails. But if you had to go to the hospital, if you had to be hospitalized, there are now conventional medicine, pharmaceutical interventions that are unbelievably effective against this virus. So again, trying to spread that hope, trying to spread the message that you don't need to live in the same amount of fear and that we can move through this. We're continuing to do it together. It's always evolving, but it does look like good news. One is that the majority of people, 99.97%, are going to be just fine if they get this particular virus. If there are people with those comorbidities that are more in that 0.03%, we need to continue to protect them. We need to get them on those immune boosting products. They're the ones that need to wear the N95 masks the most. So we need to make sure that we get those people, those particular masks, which are the most effective. And then again, we need to reach herd immunity. And I do hope that that will be coming within the next 90 days or so. So I will always continue to keep you updated. Please always feel free to share your thoughts. I'm open to them. I really am. And once again, thank you so much for tuning into the Cabral Concept. Take care, everyone.